For Connecticut, Jasmine Thomas, Breon January in the backcourt. Dawana Bonner, the small forward, in the front court with Jonquel Jones and Brianna Jones. For the visiting New York Liberty, 6th overall pick in the past draft, Michaela Onyenwede at forward. Kylie Shook, one of the few centers on this squad. Sammy Whitcomb in the backcourt with Sabrina Ionescu and the small forward, Banaja Laney. Walt Hopkins, May's WNBA Coach of the Month. He is the youngest coach in the W. His second season, his squad has already more than doubled their win total from a year ago down in the Wobble, a team that won just 2 games. Walt has done a fantastic job to get the Liberty off to a 5-3 start this season. And Kurt Miller, year 6 with Connecticut, 96 wins in his tenure. 2017 WNBA Coach and Executive of the Year, the AP Coach of the Year just 4 years ago. His team started last season 0-5 at 7-2, the second best record in the W, the number 1 record in the Eastern Conference. And this is why this game is pivotal. Connecticut 4-0 in home, 3-0 in Commissioner Cup games, Danny, and New York is 3-2 in the Commissioner Cup games, and that is, of course, a chance for that $500,000 prize that comes at the beginning of August after the Olympic break. The next time these two teams meet is the day before the Olympic break begins on July 11th, so it's a big one to get here.
Absolutely, a lot on the line, and when you talk about that big pool of money, that can be distributed in quite an impressive way across those rosters, so just an extra incentive for these players as they play this game. But hey, when you reach this level, you're competitive no matter what. You just want to win this game.
Great to have you with us tonight on Nesson, Connecticut and New York for the first time this season. Jonquel Jones wins the tip, and Jasmine Thomas brings it up for the Sun. Dawana Bonner feeds in. Jonquel going to work, banks it in.
They're going to pound it in early. This is an undersized Liberty group here, and they play a 5-out offense. They play at a fast tempo, but the Sun play the opposite. They play slower, and they can pound it inside and use that height advantage that's going to be working well for them the whole game.
The pace category means number of possessions per game, and like Danny just mentioned, New York number 1 in the W, north of 100 possessions per basketball game. That one's turned over off the fingertips of Kylie Shook. Connecticut this year, 6th in scoring at 81 points per game, undefeated at home. Thomas has been one of the bright spots in the backcourt after missing a few games due to COVID protocols. Off the screen, it's Breon January pulling up, and Connecticut leads by 4.
One of the keys to the game coming in to it was just to dictate the tempo, and those 2 first offensive possessions for the Sun is exactly what they wanted, patience and a great shot.
Whitcomb for 3, leads the W in 3-point makes. She has been terrific in 30 minutes of action per game. Number 1 in the W in 3-pointers made. That's her 23rd of the season. Bonner fights around the screen, coming off a lower scoring game, but impacting the game in many other ways with 6 points in that one. Jonquel Jones looking for a foul up against the rookie, Michaela Onyenwede. No call, the officials confer. And it was just out of bounds on New York, so it stays with Connecticut. 4 on the shot clock.
She wanted a foul, but at least they get another chance here at an offensive possession.
Thomas to inbound, off the catch. Bonner's shot is strong. And we're going to keep it here. Now Onyenwede is ruled for over the back.
This is another area, Brendan, that the Sun can really dominate in this game, and that's on the boards. It goes back to this height advantage that Connecticut has over this New York team. Fight for the offensive rebounds, force the Liberty to have to try and box you out, and then maybe you'll get some calls like that. Fight for the boards.
Yeah, Walt Hopkins, head coach of New York, we have to make them take tough shots, as any coach would want, but limit them on those offensive rebounds, of course. Another whistle, and Onyenwede just picked up her second. Nope, it's against Shook, pardon me.
It's okay, you can see that it's very obvious and very evident here early on that the idea is to get the ball inside first. And Kurt Miller even talked about that prior to the game in his pregame press conference, saying that we want to go inside out. So they've got the ball inside, and that's why that jumper works.
January's three off the mark. Brianna Jones saves it. Thomas corrals. No reset on the shot clock. Bonner steps into a three. Switch.
They earned that. How many? That was like 4 different possessions on one possession for them, and able to capitalize with a three from the veteran.
Nice to see the ball go in for Bonner. Just 3 for her last 14 from 3 coming in. What a response by Laney, knocking down the tray to make it a 2-point game. Bree Jones going to work off the back rim. Laney the other way, slices, kicks it, 3 in the air. Onyenwede knocks it down, and New York has the lead.
And that's where the Sun needs to be careful, because Liberty, you blink and you'll miss their offense. They love to push in transition. They don't like to settle and run a play. They like to just move the ball around quickly and find the open shot. And Miller talked about how his team needs to get back in that transition defense.
On the pick and roll, Brianna Jones, a clear lane to the hoop.
Beautiful execution there on the 2-man game.
Well, we've harped on it early. Great attack to the basket. The reverse goes in for Onyenwede, the former UCLA star. This team leads the WNBA in 3-point makes per game. New York at 11.5. Number 1 in percentage at 41. This team last year shot 27% from 3, which was in the basement of the league, and that's a huge reason why this team is off to a good start in 2021. Brianna Jones to put Connecticut back in front. Off the dribble. Nowhere to go for Laney. Bonner playing great D. The handoff from Shook. 5 to shoot. Ball falls loose. Brianna Jones. Bonner has daylight. Looks for a foul, doesn't get it. New York wants to push. Whitcomb to Laney. Fadeaway, step back jumper. Left it short.
Some great defensive possessions by the Sun there. They're doing a really good job at trying to slow them down.
January with another mid-range jumper. 4 points for Brianna January, the former standout at Indiana. Her second year with Connecticut. First season playing in front of the home fans. Off the catch. Whitcomb remains red hot from 3. Her second triple.
The Sun can't get lost on those rotations, because New York is going to be all about court vision the whole night, swinging the ball around, and because of that, your defense is constantly shifting, so you have to be ready for those rotations.
Off the one-handed pass, an answer from Jasmine Thomas. Jonquel Jones with the beautiful feed. Well, both teams aren't shy shooting the 3 tonight so far, Danny. Combined 5 for 6 from distance.
Yeah, this is fun so far. Just some great offensive performances so far in this game.
Whitcomb turnover. Brianna Jones brings it up the floor. Brianna January went right back to her. But turnover Connecticut. Here is Ionescu, who's barely touched the ball, it feels like. In stride, that ball is blocked. Jonquel Jones sliding over defensively.
What a great help defense, too. Brianna Jones had to go the full length of the court. She got the ball stolen away from her, but she's hustling back on defense. Just wasn't quite there. Jonquel Jones able to back up her teammate with a block. Unbelievable.
Whitcomb picks up her dribble. We'll step aside. We're about 6 minutes into the opening quarter. Connecticut by 3, 16-13. Jasmine Thomas. Nice looking shot from distance. In celebration of LGBTQ plus Pride, presented by Deloitte, the WNBA will collaborate with Listen and Fanatics on an exclusive line of Pride apparel, including Fanatics branded WNBA t-shirts. All WNBA proceeds will benefit Listen, and fans can purchase the shirts at WNBAstore.nba.com. Two teams knocking down their shots at this stage. Connecticut shooting at 54%. New York is 5 of 7, 72%. Stepping on the end line.
That was great defensive rotation there. That was exactly what Miller and DeWanna Bonner and everyone was talking about this week, was paying attention to their defensive schemes and staying disciplined on the defensive end. It was a great rotation and turned into a turnover.
Brianna Jones spoke earlier in the week as well. One point she made was you have to really be careful moving up in the paint defensively to close out on shooters, have to be extremely helpful to the guards up top. Once again, feeding inside, Jonquel Jones drawing more attention. That time she thought she had an angle. Foul from the weak side. This will be the third against the Sun. It's Brianna January's first.
You can see her arguing it with ref, and I actually find that entertaining because from a coach's perspective, she knows how to teach going around screens, right? So you would think she'd have the right perspective there.
So well spoken, 13 years spending time as a college coach. Graduated in 2009 from Arizona State. Laney knocks down a long two. Man, she's fun to watch. What a great story. Robin Brown talked about this pregame, but was cut prior to the bubble season, was picked up by Atlanta, one of their primary players, and really has taken the league by storm, the most improved player in the league last summer.
Yeah, here's a look at that last play for Brianna Jones, but a little bit more on Laney. I mean, she's one of those players that came into the league with a little bit of an inconsistent offense, right? She was a physical guard that could really defend. But when she got into the league, it was her offense that was inconsistent, which is why she jumped around from team to team, and she's worked so hard on that. And so now, not only is she a great shooter, she's probably the best one-on-one player in the league.
She was in Connecticut 3 years ago, played in 29 games. Limited role off the bench, 2.7 points per game as a member of the Sun. Brianna Jones with a nice trip at the free throw line, 76% this season. Connecticut by 3. We come up on 3 to go in this first quarter. Either team has showed signs of slowing down. Jasmine Thomas into the game, 4 in white. Laney, too strong. Jones chases after. Thomas is there. Jonquel Jones wants to push it. Bonner. Elbow jumper short. Laney comes right in for the rebound. Sprinted 94 feet to get back the other way.
It's a little bit of an up-tempo possession for the Sun. Not exactly something they usually go to, but nice to sprinkle it in once in a while.
Off the screen, that jumper left short. Bonner now wrestling with it. Now Onyenwede is in there as well. Great aggressiveness on the loose ball right in front of the Liberty bench.
Great hustle play on both ends.
I think New York called timeout because of that loose ball, just trying to secure possession. 18-15. Walt Hopkins will talk things over with his team. Very complimentary of this Connecticut team. Its rebounding ability. Right now it's 6-4. New York on the glass.
He was very complimentary of them as rebounders, but also was very complimentary of the Suns' offense and how patient they are, which was interesting coming from a coach that coaches nearly the complete opposite way than that. But he, on his pre-game press conference call, was talking all about how disciplined the Sun are on offense and how that is an advantage for them in this game. Spoke right away to how that could be a disadvantage for his team in terms of their height disadvantage, maybe just a little bit of different matchups. They have to stay disciplined because the Sun do run their stuff really well, and they know exactly what they're looking for and how to pound it in inside. And he credited Curt Miller and the Sun in how they run that offense.
Connecticut's been a sharp team at home, 4-0 this season. Of course, the wobble year a year ago, the year the team went to the finals in 2019, 15-2. Connecticut hoping to get off to a 5-0 start. The next game for the Sun after this one is not till next Sunday when Seattle comes to town, the defending champs, for an afternoon start here at Mohegan. Well, the players have said this, especially DeWanna Bonner and Brianna January, even Jonquel Jones having opted out last season. January and Bonner their debuts with the team were last year in Bradenton, not in Connecticut, so they were super excited coming in and having a chance to play in front of the fans. And we've got a good crowd that's filed in here tonight at Mohegan Sun.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to have some energy in the building. I was walking around the Mohegan Sun earlier today. There was a local volleyball tournament, so there was a lot of high school, middle school kids running around. Hopefully they've made it into the arena to watch the game as well, but it's just nice to see some normalcy.
Brendan Glasheen and Danny Kleppinger. Let's check in with Robin Brown.
Brendan, in that last time out, a heavy offensive conversation. Kurt Miller saying that New York is recognizing what they're doing by pounding the ball in the paint, but that they need to continue to create inside to handle the double teams and to focus on good power moves. So expect the ball to be let go into JJ's hands down low.
Thank you, Robin. And down low for New York, Onyenwede up to 7 points to lead the Liberty. Onyenwede averages 12 a game this season, has started all 8 games in her rookie campaign. Dawana Bonner on a mission to the basket, lays it in with her right on the left side.
Loved that move for Dawana Bonner. She was assertive on that play, ripped and just got right to the rim. That's exactly what you want to see out of her. And she, you know, she wants to get her offense going. It wasn't totally her game last game.
Beatrice Montpremier, fresh into the game, can't finish. Now it's Natisha Heidemann in the game as well with the offensive rebound. Well, and Dawana told us earlier this week to have an off day, had a chance to do some cooking in the kitchen, just did her hair, and she's feeling it after a little bit of rest. Bonner now has 7.
She's feeling good and looking good, Brendan.
That's right.
That's exactly right. I laughed really hard because whenever, you know, I get a day off work, I like to get my hair done, do your nails, and they finally got to do something like that. She said that's how she decompresses.
Nice leaner by Jasmine Jones, second-year guard out of Louisville. Just the 4th player in Louisville's history to be taken in the first round. When you look at this roster for New York, 7 of the 12 players, you have a couple of injured players, Howard and Willoughby, 7 of the 12 are first or second-year players, one of the youngest teams in the WNBA. Jones with a one-handed pass. On the attack, it's Laney, kicks out, that 3, in and out for Stokes. He doesn't shoot it that often from out there, no 3s made this season.
She is capable of shooting those, though, which is why she has the green light to do so. I think you kind of have to work on your outside shooting game if you're going to play in this Hopkins offense.
Thomas pulls up off the right iron, and a whistle after the shot. First rest for Laney, and here comes Liana Odom. Great to see her back in action. Made her season debut on Thursday, returning from a left Achilles injury.
She was a big part of the Liberty in the bubble last season. She brings versatility, athleticism. She can play 1, 2, or 3 on the court. Great to see her back. I don't anticipate her playing too many minutes. I think she's still under a little bit of a restriction, but definitely was a spark for them last game.
Heidemann knifes through traffic and lays it in. Natisha Heidemann, relentless.
Speaking of a spark.
And at the horn, Ionescu, the heroics. Not this time, through the opening frame. Connecticut leads by 5, 24-19. Natisha Heidemann, consistent off the bench, on the attack. We'll be back for the second quarter at Mohegan Sun. Welcome back to Mohegan Sun. 1 quarter in the books, and Dawana Bonner leads the squad with 7 points so far on the night. 3 of 6 from the field, 1 for 1 from 3. Top 10 in numerous categories across the W, getting to the free throw line. She's also logging a ton of minutes, which speaks to why we were saying, Danny, she was thrilled about the day off, but just really admire how she prepares game in, game out. It might not be her night scoring the ball like last game, but still on the glass and finding teammates.
Well, and what's so impressive is she's unlocked new parts of her game. Even though she's been in the W for so long, now she's a shooter as well. Maybe wasn't always considered one. She just continues to want to improve, and that drive can just make an entire team around her better. That's why it's really impressive that someone who has been in this league as long as she has continues to get better in different areas and has a desire to get better.
Ionescu picks it up, got a shot off, and that's her first basket of the night. Sabrina Ionescu from Jasmine Jones For a second, that looked like an easy ball out of bounds, and great play by Ionescu. Scrape for that basketball and put it in. 3-point lead for Connecticut. Heidemann through the paint, and she's fouled.
Heidemann making the most of her minutes. It's been very fun to watch her sub into the game because you know she's going to bring something. You know she's going to bring it on the defensive end, right? You know that she's going to bring maybe a steal, maybe a good push in transition, but getting her to the bucket and getting her on the scoreboard really been great for the Sun.
.69% free throw shooter this season, Natisha Heidemann, former Big East Player of the Year at Marquette. That was in 2018. Jonquel Jones tips it back. Heidemann, look what I found. Off the back iron, Montpremier boxes out. It's touched by the Sun.
And Coach Miller talked about how with JJ leaving, right, or even with the minutes logging up for these starters, the bench, it's their turn to step up. It's time to give even more, produce even more for the Sun because, you know, these starters are having to do a lot.
Allen on the deflection. Montpremier giving some nice minutes here. Played just 7 last game.
She brings interior defense, that's for sure. Those long arms, she's aggressive.
Kurt Miller thinks she has a high ceiling after her performances at Miami, as well as Baylor, a transfer from there. Dejanay Carrington, speaking of Baylor, in the game as well, 21 in the blue jersey. Connecticut in the Nike Rebels tonight. That's a loose ball. Heidemann's on top of it. And in transition, there's a whistle.
If there was a lineup to push the basketball, this would be the lineup. You've got Dejanay Carrington, you've got Heidemann in there to push the ball. Those are some, you gotta know your personnel, right? And that's the right time to push the tempo.
Second team foul on the Liberty. That one against Jasmine Jones. Second quarter, just a minute plus gone by. Heidemann squares her shoulders, decides to attack, slings it. Carrington, 3, got it.
Great find and great knockdown shot there. Had her feet set. It was a great drive by Heidemann, able to find her open teammate as the defense collapsed on her. Very smart instead of throwing up maybe a shot that wouldn't have had as great of a chance of going in.
That's a good feeling for Carrington, too. Came in just 1 for 6 from 3 in 9 games this season. Shot clock to 4. Ionescu gives it up. Allen was the sharpshooter last game against Vegas. That one's out of bounds. Allen went for 16 off the bench, and we were talking pregame. At one point in that game on Thursday, had 9 straight points for her team.
She had 14, actually. So they went on a 14-2 run against the Aces, and all 14 of those points for Rebecca Allen. She can get on a hot streak, and she was losing a little bit of confidence, and so her coach was telling her, hey, we have confidence in you to shoot the basketball, stroke it.
Heidemann, why not? Thomas on top of it. Shot clock resets to 14 in the W. Now it's to 10. Heidemann deep. Couple of bounces. Montpremier looking to rip it away from Allen. And on the held ball, stays with Connecticut. Nice hustle by Beatrice Montpremier.
And I like the assertiveness of Heidemann, looking for her shot, and then look at this battle down low. 2 people on her, and she's still ended up with the call. I like that.
Hey, give me a break. That was the face that she expressed. She'll jump it with Allen. Longest tenured member of the Liberty, Montpremier in year number 2. Sun win it. Up by 6. Into Jonquel Jones. Great up and under move.
Wow. What a big time move by JJ.
Quickly the other way. Jones is fouled. Really, you look at the number and see 100 possessions a game for New York, which leads the WNBA. They don't waste any time to get up the other side of the floor.
No time. It's not even just transition defense, because once the transition part's over and they start their quote-unquote offense, your defense doesn't have time to set up because they're going to shoot the shot.
Jones to the free throw line, just 4 for 6 through 8 games this year. She was really fun to watch when Connecticut played New York in an exhibition game back on May 3rd. She was given a lot of opportunity to run the offense, coming off an all-rookie team selection, the first for New York since 2015. Plethora of second-year players and rookies on this squad like we talked about. And Jones sometimes gets overlooked because Ionescu has been receiving so much attention. Shook as well as a starter. Jones giving good minutes off the bench. You've talked about bench production. I mean, Connecticut needs to get more out of the bench. Last in the league in bench points at 10.8 a game.
Especially with JJ going overseas.
Right.
It's now or never, right? This is the time for the bench to step up, and whether they play her position or not is really irrelevant. It's more about the production level, right? Someone has to come in and produce as much as JJ has. But I do believe the pieces are there for the Sun. It just comes with confidence. It comes with extra minutes on the court, and you've seen Heidemann in here for quite a long time now. Dejanay Carrington is racking up some minutes here early in the first half. It's just getting in the flow of the game, getting confident again, and understanding that your role is going to start to expand.
Kurt Miller continues to harp on that. He was asked the other day, what have you learned about your basketball team through this 7-2 start? Not a single training camp session together for the starting lineup. So he's still trying to figure out how the pieces work on both ends, and then, of course, implementing a bench. He'll take 7-2, there's no doubt. Hanging in traffic, Jones. Nicely done.
And you talked about Jones and her production level. Well, last year when Ionescu went out with that injury, Jones had to play point guard for the first time since high school and was able to, make something of it. Granted, they didn't win a lot of games, but she certainly made an impact.
With the Louisville squad, a team that was the most accomplished in program history, Louisville setting high standards in women's college basketball. You always do what's best for the team. Another extra possession for Connecticut. +2 on the glass overall. Bounce feed, Jonquel taps it out with her fingertips. Dejanay Carrington around and can't finish. That was a great pass by Jonquel Jones.
Great pass, and to be fair, Dejanay Carrington earned that right to shoot basketball on that side of the floor. She's the reason they got that offensive board.
Now Laney is doubled. Similar treatment to Jonquel Jones. Great extra pass. Allen wide open three.
Not someone you want to lose on the court. She can get hot and get hot fast.
Kurt Miller wants to talk it over. Connecticut still leads by 1, but New York is not going anywhere. 4 for 7 from 3. Walt Hopkins loves to see it. Out of Allen, the sharpshooter. Welcome back inside Mohegan Sun Arena in Uncasville, Connecticut. Brendan Glasheen, Danny Kleppinger, and Robin Brown. Connecticut leads New York 29-28, the first of 3 meetings this season. The officials are together discussing a clock issue. And if Sabrina Ionescu's previous shot, that was a while ago, if that's the shot we're talking about, a Ionescu jump shot around the free throw line to see if she got the shot up.
Wow, that was a long time ago. It was so long ago that I would have thought that there was a break in play before that happened, but here's a look at it. Great job by our truck giving us an angle.
I wish we could see what the time is on the clock. And I guess that's what the officiating crew is looking for right now as we speak.
That little red light, I guess, is what I'm looking at.
Right, good point. If the shot indeed got off, yep. So if that is taken away, it would mean a Connecticut 3-point lead, but still 29-28, midway through the second. This is a Commissioner's Cup game, which, if you haven't heard yet, the Commissioner's Cup is new to the WNBA season, the 25th anniversary, the inaugural Commissioner's Cup. It's an in-season competition. It's all regular season first half games, 10 games for each team, against your conference foes, East and then West. Connecticut facing a Western Conference foe next on Sunday, so a nice little break for the Sun. The defending champion Seattle Storm, and that was a great first game between those two teams. It went to overtime a few weeks ago. They'll tip it at 2 Eastern on Sunday.
Yeah, Coach Miller's excited for this long week that they have with no games after this one. He told his team, empty your tank today. This is the day to do it.
Well, we heard so many great stories about what they did with 1 day off. Imagine what it's going to look like with 6. So the basket counts for Ionescu. 1 point lead, Sun. Working the ball around the perimeter. Breezy dumps it. And before the shot, Jonquel Jones is hit with an offensive foul.
There was a little push off there in the back in order to create some space to go up and get that pass. It was very small, but you know, sometimes just the placement of the referee being right in front of that move to be able to, you know, elevate herself a little bit, create some space to go get it.
Jasmine Jones remains in the game. 9 minutes off the bench has been fantastic. Stokes, the former UConn Husky, 3-time champion, 41 in the white jersey. Shot clock to 7 for Jones. January fights around the screen on the switch. It's Laney, spins in the paint, off the window and in. Laney wanted the foul. That was fantastic movement by Benaja Laney in the paint.
Wow, unbelievable. She gets it done from anywhere.
Laney has 6. Onyenwede leads the Liberty with 7, but in foul trouble with 2 personals. Here's Laney with her first.
It's a little bit of a tie-up down low. You can see her trying to fight to go follow JJ, but in the process, got caught up in the screen that was happening.
1 foul from the penalty. Allen with the push. Whitcomb steps back for 3. Whitcomb, triple number 3, the W's leader in 3-point makes. Now has 25 made on the season.
And when she's consistent, this Liberty team is tough.
Bree Jones is surrounded in the paint. There's a foul, and that means free throws because New York is in the penalty.
Yeah, that's nearly 3 people headed towards Brianna Jones down there.
2 for 2 so far on the night from the free throw line. Should spend time on how complimentary her teammates have been of her this week. DeWanna Bonner, and not just this week, it was just brought up in conversation. And DeWanna Bonner went out of her way to mention how Brianna Jones has been one of the best players she's ever played with, the staple of our offense and defense. And DeWanna said if we didn't have her, we'd be in a lot of trouble. Kurt Miller even said in his pregame press conference that she's one of the most underrated players in the league.
I'm glad you brought that up because it was definitely hammered home this week. They call her Breezy. So Breezy is the staple of both our offense and our defense. It's a big compliment. And not only that, over and over you hear how likable she is as well.
Tremendous basketball IQ.
And playing with a lot of confidence right now.
Same was said about her sister Stephanie, both products of Maryland. Deflection by New York. Jasmine Jones just everywhere. And by the way, Allen hit that last shot. Rebecca Allen has 5 for New York off the bench. 11 points off the bench for the Liberty. Jones with the rebound.
Well executed play. In fact, even made Laney fall over, but just couldn't knock down the shot.
Pull up 3 by Allen. Out of bounds. So New York started red hot from 3. Still 5 for 9 in the game. And Whitcomb just drained one a moment ago. WNBA leader in 3-point percentage, the New York Liberty, 41%. Jasmine Thomas. Great dump by Bree Jones into Jonquel Jones.
What a sit and seal on the inside by Jonquel Jones. They use the ball movement well, and from a post player to a post player, a well-executed offensive possession, and just tremendous position by JJ.
Up to 6 points now. One of the WNBA's front runners in the MVP conversation. Welcomes that conversation. 35-33, New York has a 2-point lead. The Jones duo getting it done, and great seal by Jonquel. 2:40 to go, first half at Mohegan Sun. New York leads Connecticut 35-33. The Sun at one point had an 8-point lead in this second quarter. Brendan Glasheen, Danny Kleppinger, and Robin Brown, thanks for joining us on NESN for Connecticut Sun basketball. Sun looking to improve to 8-2 on the season. We're more of a quarter of the way done in the 25th anniversary WNBA season. Shook had no idea how much time was left on the clock, handed it off to Allen. No way it was in time. That's a turnover.
That was a fantastic possession defensively for the Sun, especially coming out of a timeout where the Liberty had a chance to draw something up and draw out exactly what they wanted, and the Sun were able to defend it all the way through to a shot clock violation. Just tremendous focus right there. And Kurt Miller talked about the game management in the Vegas game in comparison to the Minnesota Lynx game, how much better it was, and he was alluding to down the stretch. But you can look at the end of the half in the same situation as you can look at the end of the game. If you lock in and focus and try to get the lead going into the locker room, then you have the momentum.
Tawana Bonner gets to the free throw line very often. Second in the W in free throw makes, third in attempts. And even off that point, this team was in the finals 2 years ago. No Alyssa Thomas. She is out for the season with that Achilles injury. And Kurt keeps saying, we have a chance to be special defensively and on the glass. So keep those things in mind. He's seen a special team before in Connecticut in his 6 years. Laney stops on the brakes, kicks out, three in the air. That one short by Shook. Rebound to Jockwell Jones. Bonner leads the team with 9 points. Did most of her work in the first quarter, had 7 of those 9 in the first frame. Shot clock to 10, Breon January the Hezzy. Rattles in and out. Jockwell Jones cleans it up.
Bigger players and better chance for boards. That's where they can really hurt this Liberty team if they continue to crash those offensive boards. We've seen them get multiple extra possessions already just for fighting for those boards, and now you get some extra points.
Now JJ's heating up with 8. Laney answers, touches almost every part of the rim. Benaja Laney up to 8 to match Jockwell Jones. Jasmine Thomas calls out the play. Team leader in assists, has been the floor general since she's been inserted into the lineup. Bounces to Breon January off the catch. And a foul underneath. This one is against New York.
Another chance for another offensive possession and what I would say is a crucial moment. It was a great find for that shot, and it was a great battle down low for offensive boards. When the Sun has decided to crash, which has actually been quite often so far in this game, it's clearly a focus. Good things have happened.
Connecticut +2 in the rebounding department, 12-10. Jockwell Jones has tightened up her free throws the last couple games. Just shy of 80% on the season, now 31 of 39. Looking for her 5th straight 20-point game. Halfway there with 10. And more importantly, her team has a 2-point lead with a minute to go in the first half. Shook sets the screen. Jasmine Jones, excellent off the bench, stays in there. Breonna Jones totally disrupts her shot.
Tremendous help side defense there. Her teammate got beat off the dribble, but she has enough court awareness to know that she can step in and help without fouling. And that's what they were, when they were singing Bree Jones's praises, they were talking about her IQ. That's a high IQ play.
Ionescu to inbound, 9 to shoot. That bounce pass is broken up. Numbers for Connecticut. Bonner to Breon January. Bounces in Bonner. Quickly fires. Off the back heel. Cleaned up once again by guess who? JJ. 12 for Jockwell Jones with 5 rebounds.
They do not have an answer for JJ. She is just sliding in there, being sneaky, grabbing those offensive boards. No one's even putting a body on her. You're not going to out-jump her if you're shorter than her.
WNBA's leading rebounder, now halfway to her average with 5. Jones off the catch. Strong from three. Connecticut can hold for the final shot. Like you had said prior, coming back to break, always pivotal to go to the half with the lead. Bonner is doubled, fights through, and a foul is called. Free throws on the way for the 12-year veteran.
Since we came out of that timeout and we talked about how game management is so important, nice move by DeWanna Bonner to get to the rim, especially as the clock winds down, to try and get some extra points. But this has been a phenomenal 2.5 minutes for the Sun. They have completely locked in, played great defensively, and then on offense have executed.
Good night from the free throw line for Connecticut at this point. 9 for 11 as a squad. Bonner, 89% free throw shooter. And the lead is 6, 1.9 seconds. Shook inbounds. No shot for Ionescu. So if we have reached recess, Connecticut leading 43-37.
It was great poise in those final few minutes there for the Sun. They were down, Brendan, when we were talking about that. Now they're going into the locker room with a nice lead.
Connecticut had it was a 37-37 game, little 6-0 run to conclude the first half. 43-37. Our own Robin Brown is down on the court with, looks like, Jasmine Thomas.
Jazz, this team pounded the ball into the paint early on in the first. It wavered a bit in the second. How do you get JJ more involved in the second half offensively?
I mean, that was our emphasis going in here, was to pound the ball, play through the paint, and I think we had a pretty decent first half. They're going to make some adjustments, so we got to find different ways to get the same looks, and lucky for us, we got some of that in our offense.
Up just by 6 going into the second half. What's the focus that you want to come back with?
I think more of just a defensive mindset. They're doing a lot of one-on-one plays, and, you know, they're a talented team. So we got to kind of lock in defensively one-on-one, not overhelp, and secure these long rebounds.
Thank you, Jazz.
Yep.
Brendan?
Thank you, Robin. Jasmine Thomas with a nice stat line in the first half. 3 points, 4 boards, 4 assists. We'll step aside and start our halftime coverage at Mohegan Sun. Connecticut leads New York 43-37. Just getting set to start the third quarter here at Mohegan Sun. Connecticut leading by 6. Brendan Glasheen, Danny Kleppinger, Robin Brown with us as well. Walt Hopkins, head coach in his second season, the WNBA Coach of the Month for the month of May with the 5-2 start. This New York team won just 2 games all of last year down in the Wubble. And for Connecticut, no 5 start a year ago, no Jonquel Jones. She's back. They are winning more games like expected at 7-2, second best record in the league. We were just talking off air. New York has to keep it up from 3. I mean, it's impressive when you consider Connecticut allows them to still shoot 44% from 3. A lot of those threes came in the opening minutes, but to still have a 6-point lead, they've controlled the glass and established the paint.
Yeah, well, how does Liberty get over the size issue, right? They knock down threes. That's how you can draw those bigger players out of the paint and make them run at you and try and get uncontested shots with some ball movement. That's how the Liberty overcomes their size disadvantage.
Let's see if Sabrina Ionescu can get going. Just 2 points in the first half. Blaney can't finish. Brianna Jones with the rebound, her third.
Just 2 points for Ionescu, but really only took 1 shot. The other shot she took was a half-court heave at the buzzer. So they've really done a great job of just completely eliminating her from the game.
Bonner's fall away off the mark. 11 points for Bonner in the first half. Now double figures in all but 1 game. A nice bounce back from the Vegas game. On the kick out, that 3 in and out for Onyenwede, who did not play much in the second quarter. Picked up 2 fouls, 7 points for the 6th overall pick out of UCLA. Jonquel Jones has 12. Double figures in every game this year for JJ.
She's kind of rolling her eyes on that. Couldn't believe how hard she got pushed. The whole team having a little bit of a laugh over that. Hey, Got to take out some aggressiveness early on in the second half. Make sure they know that they're down low trying to compete with Brianna Jones.
Well, here's how you know that Connecticut's really established the paint. Shook is one of the forwards, and she does not have a single rebound starting forward for New York. Jonquel Jones, once again, showing the Liberty whose paint it is. 14 points. Shook can't hit from 3. Also, notice Jonquel has not taken many threes tonight. It's all inside.
Back-to-back buckets for Jonquel Jones. That first one, when she was down low on the block, 2 defenders running at her, she's able to split them, then back down the lane in that second possession for her, just that second score. Unbelievable.
Ionescu still looking to find a rhythm. Fumbles it, picked up by Laney. And Dewana Bonner. Oh, no, they'll give it to Thomas, excuse me. Jasmine Thomas with the foul, the reach right there. No one on the Sun in foul trouble. No one has more than 1 foul. Shot clock to 8. Shook has plenty of room. Diaper shot pass now. Laney with 4. Swings it. Onyenwede on the attack did not notice the shot clock. That's happened a few times tonight.
I'm actually thinking, Brendan, that it's happening a few times, not only because the Sun obviously are meeting their defensive marks that they need to meet, but I don't think that the Liberty is used to having such a low shot clock. I think they're so used to running and gunning and not even having to notice.
Well, when you go up against the top scoring defense in the W, that will happen. Touch pass, Thomas, 3, strong. Jonquel Jones has done that a few times tonight. Dewana Bonner orchestrates the offense. Breezy sets the screen. Shot clock to 5. Jasmine Thomas swirls it in. Second time's the charm on that possession.
Every single player on the Suns team touched the ball on that possession. That's how much ball movement was in that possession, and that's what leads to good shots. Inside out, back inside, and then back outside, able to swing it around the perimeter for a shot. That's perfect ball movement.
Ionescu looking for her own shot, but a foul against New York.
Offensive foul number 12,
It's against Onyenwede. Connecticut has 3 players shooting north of 40% from 3. Bonner, Jonquel Jones, and Jasmine Thomas. 2 for 3 tonight. Jonquel establishes once more. Fadeaway goes down. Timeout, Walt Hopkins. Jonquel Jones has 18 on 8 of 12 shooting. Looking for her 6th 20-point game. We'll be back. Connecticut by 15. Final run for the Connecticut Sun, led by Jonquel Jones, Brendan Glasheen, Danny Kleppinger. Let's go to Robin Brown for more on JJ.
Brendan, I got to sit after practice yesterday and talk with Jonquel about the reason she goes out each night and plays her heart out. And she took me through this story about being a young girl from the Bahamas who had just arrived in the United States. She said when she got here, she was not on the same level as the U.S. players and that the talent discrepancy was large. One of her teammates came up to her one day and said, if I was you and I never played, if I never touched the court, I would just go back home. She said it was that moment that changed the trajectory of her life. She was either going to put in the work or her dreams were going to die. And she remembered before she left the words her dad said, your dreams and goals to be a professional athlete are not here in the Bahamas. So go over there and make them come true. And now we get to watch this young woman's dreams come true and perform at this magnitude.
Thank you, Robin. Fantastic story. Jonquel Jones opted out last season. No signs of slowing down after a great year in 2019. In the MVP discussion, traveling violation, New York, another turnover for the Liberty. And Jonquel talked about that a bit today. She's embracing the MVP chatter. Ultimately thinks it's a good thing. That means you're playing for a good basketball team.
Exactly. Your team has to win games in order for you to be in that conversation of MVP. So she gave credit to her teammates, but bouncing off what Robin said, and you can see different quotes from her teammates saying that she's matured so much. She's a difference maker, but she's not young anymore. She's dominant, she's demanding, and you can see that move into her play as well.
5th year out of George Washington. Fade away in and out for Thomas. Still a 9-0 Connecticut run. New York has not scored in this second half. Ionescu puts that run to bed. First three-pointer tonight for Sabrina Ionescu.
Gets on the board and could potentially get some momentum for herself, but her teammates, her coach talked about it, they're playing her off the ball a little bit, have to run plays to get her involved.
New York foul on number 20, Sabrina Ionescu.
Now Ionescu picks up the personal. 42% from three this year. Ionescu played just 3 games in the bubble after suffering a left ankle sprain.
She got that foul going in and trying to give the post.
Now Brianna Jones wants a turn, pounding it in the paint.
Give the post extra attention, and that's exactly why, because people like Brianna Jones are down there and are so dominant.
Laney with the jab step, comes up empty from 3. Connecticut has scored 54 points, 30 of them in the orange paint. Brianna Jones looks to add. Too strong there. Laney comes away.
Look at her dive on the ground for the offensive rebound. She deserves the attention her teammates are giving her. They each and every one of them, including the coach, said that she is maybe unheralded, not getting enough attention for what she does bring to this Sun team. But she's a post player diving on the floor for an offensive board after her own shot. That just shows the hustle play out of her and how much pride she takes into her game.
When you have both the confidence in your offense skyrocketing and match that with the elite presence she has defending the post, those are all going in the right direction at the same exact time. Connecticut by 14, offensive foul off the ball. This one is against, speak of, Brianna Jones. That's the second on Breezy.
Connecticut has built themselves up a nice lead here that they can start to play a little bit more confidently, as they've done throughout this game on the defensive end, but continue to do so in situations like this where you have a turnover or a offensive foul on your side of the court. Turn it around and come back with a solid defensive possession. You got to have a short memory in this game, and because they have such a nice lead, I think you can have an even shorter memory.
Just 6 turnovers in the game. New York has 11. Its season average is 17, which is second most in the game this year. Shot clock to 7. Ionescu going one-on-one with Thomas. Bounces into Shook. Great straight up D by Brianna Jones. That's a tough take, and Shook gets it to go. Shook averages 6 points a game. 4-year teammate of Jasmine Jones at Louisville. Jasmine not in there, gave great minutes in the first half. Shot clock to 10 now. Thomas drives baseline. Now down to 7. Thomas against Whitcomb. Spin move. Last minute foul on the block, but it's an offensive foul. They're going to get Jonquel Jones.
It's a great heads-up play by Thomas to get the ball up on the rim. I don't really see where that offensive foul would have taken place. It didn't look like the Liberty player had put too much contact on Jonquel Jones to where she would have had to push off. It looked like she just out-jumped her. Unfortunate.
Crowd let him know.
Yeah. I probably can't boo along with the crowd, but could I? I probably would have in that scenario.
Careful, because you fly out of here tomorrow, you might run into the officials, and it could get interesting. She's Danny Kleppinger, Brendan Glasheen. It's great to have you with us on a Saturday night in the WNBA. 2 great games earlier today. A doubleheader on ABC. 2 tightly contested ball games. That jumper in and out. Earlier today, Vegas beat Washington on the road, so the West Coast swing continues. The Aces have now won 2 of 3, 96-93 over Washington, and then the Sparks beat Chicago earlier today, the Sky, 68-63. This is a Commissioner's Cup game. New York 3-2 in those contests. Connecticut 3-0. Shook with a power dribble. Left short. Blue jerseys everywhere.
Great defensive recovery once again by the Sun. They're really taking pride on that defensive end, which of course has been their emphasis all season long. They've had a couple of struggling offensive possessions, and then they follow it up with a great defensive stop, and that leads to good offense.
Yeah.
See January knock it down.
Breon January, that's her spot, the bread and butter. About 15 feet out. Lead back up to 14. Benaja Laney drives, open shooter. That one's good. Kia Stokes with her first made three of the season. Like you said earlier, she's capable.
She is capable. She works on it, and if you're going to play in a system like this, like I said earlier, you got to be able to knock down shots from the outside, because that's where your opportunities are going to come from.
Stokes was missed consistency last year, the only Liberty player to start all 22 games last season. Three-time champion with the UConn Huskies. And I think, yeah, Jonquel Jones just got another offensive foul. That's now the third personal on Jonquel.
Brendan, more on Stokes. The reason she has to be able to shoot threes is because if she wasn't capable of it, her defender would hang out in the middle of the paint. And so then the driving lanes are not there. So if she's not a capable three-point shooter, that does not help the rest of her team in any way, shape, or form.
First minutes of the second half now for Jasmine Jones. Right to work. Penetrates the lane, and she's going to the line for two.
Just got a head start on Heidemann into the paint. Heidemann tried her best to keep her in front and did a good job of sliding her feet, but I think her body was just crowding her a little bit too much for the official.
So a couple of free throws here to try and whittle the deficit to single digits. You got to give Jones a lot of credit. Walt Hopkins understands. All rookie team selection a year ago, averaged about 11 points per game. She stepped up, as you had mentioned, played point guard for the first time since high school, stepped up with Ionescu out, and now her role has taken a little bit of a hit, and she's still finding ways to impact the game right away coming in.
And she was playing with a little bit of a hyperextended elbow for a few games, so her minutes weren't what they were, but he's slowly easing her back into the game more and more. And the good thing about her, Brendan, is she's such a motivator when she's not on the court as well. She stays very locked into games. You can see her up and moving on the bench.
Heidemann off the catch to halt a 5-0 run by New York. Second three for Natisha Heidemann. Now 19 made threes on the season. Sun by 12 as we come up on a minute to go in the third. Laney too strong. Jonquel Jones has only taken 2 threes tonight. Drains her first of the evening. Another 20-point game for Jonquel Jones. That's 5 straight with 20. Stokes comes right back.
That three-pointer was for you, Brendan. You were saying, look at her just play so well down low in the post. Usually she gets a couple threes a day. Hey, there it was for you, coming late in the third.
So now Jonquel has 6 20-point games on the season. That now passes her total from all of 2019. She had 5 on the year. Brianna Jones, great spin on the post. Just couldn't finish. Jonquel's got 8 rebounds as well, 2 off her average, in search of her 7th double-double of 2021. Laney decides to fire. I thought New York might hold for the final shot. Now Bonner's going to get a chance. With 1 second, heaves. Not this time. 13 is the lead for Connecticut. We make the turn for home. Can you say MVP? Certainly looked like it here at Mohegan Sun.
Post player, Brendan. Jonquel Jones is 6'6" and shooting nearly 50% from 3. It's unbelievable, and it's not lack of shots either. That's with shooting a lot of threes, and she's still shooting at such a high clip. You have to keep your head on a swivel if you're going to try and at least attempt to guard Jonquel Jones, because she can do it down low like she's been doing all game long, and then she can sprinkle out to the three-point line and knock it down.
Her 46 attempts easily cracked the top 10. So now tonight with 1 for 3, Jonquel Jones is 22 of 46 from distance. That's 48%. Jones dashes to the basket, but called for an offensive foul. She is distraught, does not get it.
She's pretty upset. She was full throttle. I'm not really sure where the offensive foul was either, but it worked out well for the Sun, that's for sure. Heidemann was there. Maybe the slight little push off and extension of the arm is what caused the offensive foul, but a good break for the Sun.
12th Liberty turnover. Nice hustle by Allen. Jones has played 15 minutes off the bench. Stokes, 18 minutes. And Allen with 14 minutes. Jasmine Thomas checks in. Breon January gets a break. So Dejanay Carrington on the floor with Heidemann. And looks like we got a technical foul against Walt Hopkins. Well, it was either Hopkins or Jones.
The way Hopkins is sitting down, I'm assuming it was on him.
Yep, it was on the coach. Thanks to our team for confirming. We're up in the stands here at Mohegan Sun. We missed the court level. Carrington fires. Has 1 3 made tonight. Brianna Jones, offensive glass, kicks it. Heidemann off the fake, 3 in the air. Strong. Jonquel Jones wrestling for the rebound with Liana Odom.
This Sun team doing a great job crashing the offensive boards. They have gotten their team so many extra possessions, whether it shows up in the actual offensive boards column in the stats sheet or not. They're getting tips on the ball, and those tips create loose balls and extra possessions for their offense. It's an emphasis coming into this game, and they have completely stuck to that game plan.
When I check the column, just to be sure, it's 10-3 Connecticut. But yes, it's been very evident despite the stat sheet.
There's another one.
23 in the game for Jonquel Jones. Check it, make it 24 because of the technical free throw. To go along with 11 rebounds. So Jonquel Jones now has 7 double-doubles in 10 games. Heidemann fighting around the screen, picks up the foul. That's her 3rd. Heidemann does not slow down when she checks in, and she just picked up her 4th.
Just a couple of little back-to-back possessions on those ball screens. Unfortunate, just that she ran right into her. I think, she was in the right position, just got to move her feet.
Biggest lead for Connecticut, 16 points. Jonquel Jones, another board. That's her 12th. 90 seconds into the 4th quarter. Get a whistle on the floor here. Stephanie Jones now checks in. Kurt Miller, his squad, carrying out the game plan. He said we got to empty the tank with time off coming up. We've had a ton of offensive fouls in this game. Jasmine Jones picks up another, and every time she's called for something.
Yeah, Kurt Miller was interested to see how his team would respond to the day off that they had and then a couple days. Because, when you play 9 games in 19 days, you stay very focused. You're very locked in. And so then when you do get a chance to go off, yes, it's great for mental health. And it's great for everybody to get a nice breather, sleep in their own beds. But you could possibly lose a little bit of focus. So nice to see that his team did not lose focus because they've played a tremendous basketball game so far.
Pretty pull-up by Carrington, just couldn't get it to go. Loose ball. Jasmine Thomas is on it. Stokes gives her a high five. Not trying to fall on top of you, just tripped herself up.
New York foul number 41.
Diving on loose balls, though. She just ran into her. That was just purely on accident. One of those things just happens.
Jonquel Jones is on the bench. That's who Stephanie Jones checked in for. So Jonquel, her season high is 13 rebounds. One off with 12 in this one, 24 points. Brianna Jones right off the catch. Spins into the lane and lays it in.
So strong. What a strong move. Jonquel Jones and Bree Jones have done a great job in this game, understanding what the game plan is in terms of pounding the ball inside and taking advantage of that size that they have over the Liberty. And Jones, when she makes such a powerful move like that and attacks in that manner, no one can stop her.
Jonquel and Brianna combined for 36 points on 14 of 22 shooting. 10 seconds to shoot. Great lob in by Carrington to Stephanie Jones. Knocked out of bounds. Stephanie, Brianna's sister. Nice to see the both of them on the court together. Stephanie was titled Miss Consistency when she was playing at Maryland. We've talked about the consistent play of her sister Brianna, the more experienced player. Ionescu on the glass after the Heidemann miss. 3 minutes into the final frame. Connecticut by 18. Ionescu denied. Jasmine Thomas with the stare after the swat.
This has got to be fun for the Jones family to see the two out there at the same time.
One of 3 sister pairings playing in the W. And Brianna is fouled. Going up with the right hand, so she gets to add to her day.
New York foul number 9, Rebecca Allen. That's her second personal, third team foul.
Great face-up post play. You know, she got position, was able to get the basketball, turned around and faced her opponent and just attacked.
Connecticut very sharp from the free throw line this evening. 12 for 14, that's 86%. Brianna Jones now 6 for 6. 20-point lead. Allen off the catch. Yes.
Wide open. They lost her in transition. She was able to take advantage of it. Kurt Miller is not happy.
He wants his team to play the full 40 as any coach would want. We'll step aside from Mohegan Sun. It's all Sun here against the Liberty. Great look by Ionescu, and Rebecca Allen makes a pay. Welcome back to Mohegan Sun Arena. Connecticut 69, New York 52. Kurt Miller called timeout after his squad allowed a transition 3 to Rebecca Allen. Very livid on the sideline. Brendan Glasheen, Danny Kleppinger, and third member of our team is Robin Brown. She's got something for us down on the floor.
Well, Brendan, you and Danny have been talking about JJ being in the MVP conversation, and I actually got a chance to talk to her yesterday, and I asked her, what is the most special award you've ever won? And she said it was the year she got the single-season rebounding record. She said when she goes to the locker room after games, she doesn't look for how many points she put up in the stat sheet, but the amount of rebounds that she has. She knows that she's averaging 10. She wants to be averaging 13.
Wow, it's good to have a number in mind and then be chasing that down. It's very interesting though, because people can be so caught up in the amount of points that they score, right, or what conversations they're in terms of the league as a whole. But to take that much pride in rebounding is a good sign.
When the Connecticut Sun was in the WNBA Finals 2 years ago, JJ exploded for a huge game in Game 2, had 32 points, 18 rebounds. Her career high in boards is 22. She's done that twice. Well, doesn't that also prove that when you grab boards and you're on the glass as a squad, she knows that yields victories?
And it does, because that's exactly what her coach says day in and day out. Defense and rebounding, right? And then defensive rebounding. And that's what her focus is. It's tremendous.
It's great hustle out of Carrington. I thought for a second she was going to run up the stairs and high-five some fans.
I did too. She was on a full sprint there.
And there you see the maturity of some of the veteran players on the bench. DeWanna Bonner, Breon January standing, applauding the hustle, even though it did not convert, and you won't see it on the score sheet. Odom knocks down a three.
This game and the way that it's going right now is coming at a perfect time for the Sun, because JJ is not going to be around coming up here, right? This is a perfect chance for them to get some extra minutes and experience.
Don't look now. New York is making some run here. Laney spin around jumper off the mark, and now Jonquel Jones is at the scorer's table, and here comes DeWanna Bonner as well.
We haven't seen much of DeWanna Bonner this half. Looks like they're giving her some extra rest. Like we talked about it and hammered it home, how many games they've played in a row. And it takes a toll on your body as you get a little bit older. I don't think anybody likes to be called old, but a veteran.
Thomas's three in and out. Knocked around by the Jones sisters. Carrington splits between them. Stephanie Jones is there. Onyenwede snatches it for New York. 15-point deficit. Onyenwede pass knocked away. Corralled by Heidemann. Drives in, bounces it. Stephanie Jones, patience, and puts it in.
Great patience, great poise, great steal, and into some great offense there. Heidemann, Carrington, Jones making the most out of their minutes. Connecticut, 72. Liberty, 55 when you come back.
Down the stretch we go at Mohegan Sun. Connecticut by 17. Sun's largest lead was 20. New York just does not stop running. Up and down style for second-year coach Walt Hopkins, the WNBA Coach of the Month in May. Jonquel Jones, DeWanna Bonner back into the game with Jasmine Thomas, Natisha Heidemann, and Brianna Jones. What does Connecticut need to do, Danny Kleppinger, to close this one down?
Well, they need to stay true to their game plan and what they've done so far, and that's offensive execution, because their game management is getting better and has continued to improve, but they can't start plays too early. Offensive execution is also what's going to stop runs. Liberty is a team that's very capable of going on a run, especially their style of play. So if you keep dictating the tempo offensively, it's a good place to start.
Ionescu missed another jumper for New York. Jonquel Jones is denied. And JJ's heading to the free throw line. Ionescu in this contest, 5 points, which matches her season low. 2 for 5 shooting, coming off a career low 5 against Vegas. The game before that, 6 against Atlanta.
Brennan, Liberty are 5-0 when Ionescu scores more than 10 points and 0-3 when she scores 10 or fewer.
That's what I'm saying. And the shots look good when she's put the ball up. She had a 3 in the corner that was taken away because of an offensive foul. She had a shot when the shot clock hit 0 in the first half. And maybe it's because teams have made adjustments. This is the first time these two face each other, but after an extremely hot start, we know Walt Hopkins has been outspoken about some potential pain, mobility issues.
With her ankle, yeah, he did mention that after the last game, that possibly she was dealing with a little bit of pain there on her ankle.
Diving on the floor, Connecticut calls timeout with just under 4 to go in regulation.
Teams have more film now on Ionescu, right? So last year was her first year technically in the league, but then she had that injury, so teams didn't really know what to expect, which is why she was so solid in those beginning of the season, and she's so talented that she will find a way to be successful once again, and usually she shows up in the stat sheets in other ways, right? She didn't have a ton of points last game, but she had 9 rebounds.
Right.
Or she's distributing the basketball. She's got great vision. She's a true point guard, but they need her to score. She is their X factor, and they're going to have to find ways, whether that's taking her off the ball and not having her play point guard and maybe running plays for her where she comes off the screen or in a position where she can create a mismatch and take advantage of it, but they got to find ways to get her to score the basketball.
That's a great point. Had 9 assists in that game as well. And Walt Hopkins talked about this pregame on his Zoom availability. She's learning on the fly to figure out what the team needs in the moment. And when you're guarded tightly on the pick and roll, like you said, when there's more film on you, you're making those knee-jerk changes to your game in the moment. And with reps, it will come, no question. Jonquel Jones adding to her total tonight. Ionescu leaves the 3 short. Jonquel with 28 points. Matches her season high. She had that at Seattle in that overtime game, a thriller. Seattle, as you saw on your screen a moment ago, in town on Sunday for a 2 p.m. tip here at Mohegan Sun. Let's see if JJ can get to 30. Decides to kick with 1 on the shot clock. Bonner's 3 strong.
Good heads-up play by Dwana Bonner to know how much time was on the shot clock.
Allen, a sniper, buries a 3. Rebecca Allen, her 3rd three-pointer. Back-to-back games with double figures off the bench for Rebecca Allen.
It's a good sign for the Liberty because they were going through a stretch where she wasn't sure. I don't know if she wasn't sure if her team trusted her or what it was, but she was hesitant to shoot as much as she has been. And finally, the team has made it clear to her, we trust you to shoot the basketball because you can knock it down and are very capable of big scoring games. Meanwhile,
Bonner up to 13 points. Connecticut matches its largest lead, 20 points. Laney off the fake, sets up Odom. 13 rebounds, there's that number, Robin.
She got it. She's gonna be happy with herself as she heads on to Eurobasket.
31 for Jonquel Jones. First 30-point game of this season.
She put the 3s down at the bottom, Brendan. She's pumped. And she should be. She's playing tremendous basketball. She's so unguardable because of how much she can do. You can't be late to close out on a 6'6" shooter. You just can't. Gotta know where she is at all time if you're the Liberty, but man, the Sun program has got to be happy with the way that this woman is playing and her energy that she's bringing. She steps up when the team needs it, and her team may not need it right now, but she's a dagger. She's just ending the Liberty's hopes at all of coming back.
JJ is just 1 point shy of matching her career high, which is 32, which she had against Washington in the WNBA Finals. I mean, I can't help, and this was from Connecticut assistant coach Brandy Poole a few weeks ago, mentioned Jonquel came into this season in such a good headspace, clear mind, decided to opt out last year. It's been phenomenal watching her establish herself in this league. And like you said, she's an older player now, 5th year in the league. But how would it look mixing in with these teammates? Only 1 practice together during training camp, the starting 5, that is. But Jonquel's out of the game now. Kyla Charles has checked in, Beatrice Montpremier, Heidemann, Stephanie Jones, and Dejanay Carrington. Allen, another 3. Right when Kurt Miller goes to the bench and takes the starters out, Allen just quells the enthusiasm in the gym. Nice game for Allen, 30 points over the last 2 games. 4 for 6 from 3 tonight. Heidemann's led the bench with 5 points. Carrington dumps in on the head fake. Another fake. Blocked by Allen. Second effort goes. Stephanie Jones, another bucket.
It's great to watch the bench get involved in this game, Brendan, because as the season goes on, those minutes are going to start to wear on some of the players. And if the bench can come in and be successful, that's great. And now they're not even just getting reps, they're getting game reps. This is a big deal to be able to put themselves, for their starters to put themselves in a position like this to be able to get their bench in and get these minutes.
Heidemann just bolts to the basket. Was disrupted momentarily, gathered herself, and lays it in. 7 for Natisha Heidemann. which is just 3 points shy of her average of 10. Pretty cool to watch Dee Dee Richards, former Baylor Lady Bear, on the court at the same time as Dejanay Carrington. That was Richards getting fouled after the pass.
Her story is unbelievable and
amazing.
chilling. And Dejanay Carrington talked about her today, just said how in awe she is of her story and her comeback. And then, of course, they're best friends. So it's great to see her.
Richards was temporarily paralyzed after a collision in practice. You have to go back to October of 2020 with Baylor. Fully recovered after 38 days and helped Baylor, along with Carrington, who was the 6th Woman of the Year.
Also has aspirations to be a model, Brendan, which you see those beautiful eyelashes.
Yes.
I like her playing in style.
Final 30 seconds. Carrington falls away. Odom with the denial. This is a Commissioner's Cup game. Connecticut will improve to 4-0 in that category. Allen just continues to heave. Nothing there. The Connecticut Sun picks up a WNBA best 8th win. 8-2 on the season. 5-0 at home. 4-0 in Commissioner Cup games, handing the Liberty a 21-point loss.
Coach Miller's got to be so happy with his team and the way that they executed their game plan from the beginning. It was obvious that they wanted to pound the ball inside. That's what they did. They